Hello, and welcome to the Kelcast, the Hearthstone Arena podcast, where we try to get better without cursing. I'm Keldar, a longtime Infinite Leaderboard Arena player and streamer on Twitch. Joining me as my co-host is another Arena Leaderboard player, Kellen Abel. If you want to find us on social media, you can search Keldar on Twitch, YouTube, or on Twitter. That's K-E-L-U-D-A-R. So, Kellen, what are we looking at this week?
Well, with Forged in the Barrens, coming out on March 30th, we wanted to go over what the set brings to Arena and how the new cards work. So even though the set isn't fully revealed yet, there's still a lot to cover because there's a ton of new keywords and mechanics that are going to change how we play in Arena.
All right. So remember, next week we're going to be actually releasing the podcast slightly early because we're going to be doing a full card review. So we're not going to wait until Saturday to release it. We'll release it as soon as the cards release in full, which should be on Tuesday as far as I understand. So, and with that, we're going to get on with the show. Here we go. First topic is spell schools. So this is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this. So this was one of those changes that I got excited about because one thing that I've always been concerned about with Hearthstone is just the design space and the health of the game. And this, to me, gives them, it's always up to Blizzard whether they're going to come through with it, but it gives them a lot more flexibility with things like, which I think consider a problem, like Discover, like to focus things more and to make it should be easier to balance stronger effects this way. So I'm really excited about it.
Let's talk about what it is first, because it is a totally new thing. It's basically applying tags to spells just like they do for minions. So there's mechs and beasts and all that stuff. For spell schools, they'll get a tag at the bottom of the card that says what type of spell they are, and there are going to be 7 different schools: Fell, Fire, Frost, Shadow, Nature, Arcane, and Holy. So 7 different things that you can tag a spell with. So Fireball, for example, will be a fire spell.
Yeah, it'll look kind of like this if you guys are on YouTube. So yeah, they'll have a spell. They'll have a thing at the bottom. It'll just basically say which type of school it's from, and it'll be great. So, all right. So what are the cards do you want to talk about first, Kellen?
Well, I just want to talk about some of the ways that they can use them. Typically what you'll see with the spell schools, at least what we've seen so far, is there will be a couple different tools. Number one is some minions will modify spells of a specific school. So Brew Con, which is a Shaman Legendary, 4 mana, 5/4, it has nature spell damage +3. So it's not all your spells. It's modifying only the nature spells. So your lightning storms are going to look really good when you cast them with Brucon in play.
Yeah.
And then the other way that they're gonna use this, at least that we've seen, is some minions will trigger when you cast a spell from a specific school. Okay. So while Brucon is a static effect that just makes your nature spells better, Guff Rune Totem is a Druid Legendary, a 3 mana 2/4 that gives +2/+2 to a friendly minion after casting a nature spell. Excuse me, another friendly minion, not himself. So Guff Rune Totem, when you cast that nature spell, it triggers and does something special. So I expect to see a lot of those 2 kinds of effects with the spell schools.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. This is going to be also sort of like, if you guys remember when they introduced elementals back in Ungoro, they are also going back in Hearthstone history to basically... So one of the things in Arena perspective with old rotations and stuff is there will be old spells that come back through that will now have tags on them. So you will see cards that'll synergize with cards that maybe you wouldn't be able to play with in Constructed with Standard. So it should be really interesting. I think I like when they introduce these like widespread mechanics like this. And I think it's really healthy for the game. And I think it gives them a lot more ability to make better design decisions. So I think it should be really great.
I totally agree. So Kel, what do you think this is going to mean for Arena? Is it gonna be really important, or how do you think it's going to play out?
Well, it's hard to say because I haven't seen some of the cards that I anticipated seeing from this type of spell school thing. Haven't seen yet. They talked about in one of their videos was like that they always wanted to be like a card that's like discover a fire spell or discover a frost spell or whatever. And in Arena, I think it's good because it gives you, like, for instance, let's say I'm sure there's going to be a card that's discover a fire spell of some sort I think at
Yeah.
maybe not this expansion, but at some point. So let's just say that exists. It's a minion or a spell, it doesn't matter. So they discover a fire spell, and then from that point on, they have a fire spell. So like instead of just getting a random discover that's just a billion different spells, not only does the player that's discovering have a better idea of what he'll be getting, but the opponent also has a better idea of what he'll be getting. So I think it will make skill matter a little bit more, which obviously a lot of us top players like. It is definitely, knowing Blizzard, there's definitely a potential for them to kind of take some of the stuff off the deep end and make these crazy cards. But I don't know. I think it'll add a really good flavor to the arena. I think it'll make it feel like when you're, and then they did state that this is why they did this. Like when you're a mage, like I feel like you're gonna feel more like a mage. So I feel like it's good for arena. I feel like you're gonna feel like a lot of arenas, these neutral cards and like kind of throwing a deck together. But I feel like these spell schools will kind of make it feel more like you're actually your class. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to end up being more of a drafting and mechanic than an actual in-game play mechanic. It's going to be tough to construct a fire mage arena deck. You're more likely going to be playing a mage deck that has a couple fire spells, and maybe you'll get one card that's a payoff minion, like a card that triggers when you play a fire spell or something like that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be huge. Typically, what I would expect to see, like the most common situation, is you get lucky and get one of the legendary minions, like the Guff, Rune, Totem, or Brucon, that triggers off a nature spell, and then you're just more incentivized to take nature spells in the drafts. But I don't think it's going to be a huge deal.
Right.
But I think it's just a slightly relevant synergy thing that might come up once in a while.
I think when you're talking about synergy, I think this is a really good card to like just bring up real fast, which is Spirit Healer. It's a 4-mana 3/6. After you cast a holy spell, give a random minion +2 health. This is just an example of, okay, so when you're priest or when you're paladin, you might throw this card unfortunately it's epic, so you won't see it very often, but it's like one of those cards that's like doesn't do anything crazy, but it might give you a small little boost. Like you're kind of like you were saying, like a small synergies that don't like break the game, but might add some flair to the game, like a little bit of a swing, small stuff.
Yeah.
And as long as Blizzard is able to keep it that way, where it's like not massive things, it should be really fun. And I think like I said, we haven't seen all the cards released, but I do anticipate there's going to be quite a few cards that are influenced by spell schools. So I think overall, if we want to just talk about it from like a macro perspective, it's just a good change for the game.
It's a good flavor change. It's a good design space change.
Everything.
But it's not going to have a huge effect on the actual way we play.
Right. And flavor, and like I said, but that stuff does matter. So it should be fun. All right. So next we are going to bring up talking about the next mechanic that they introduced, which is Frenzy. This is kind of the more typical mechanic. Like this is like kind of like Echo, all those things. Like this is the card mechanic that they always introduce at least one, it seems, and this one is Frenzy. So you want to talk about that one a little bit, Kellen, with the cards?
So Frenzy says whenever this minion takes damage and survives, it does something. That's what Frenzy is. So they just phrase it as a keyword. It says Frenzy, do this. There's two main ways that they do this. It's very much like with the spell schools. There's two ways that they really are going to take advantage of this. One of them is minions with Frenzy will either have a triggered ability or a stat buff. That's pretty much what's going to happen. I don't expect much beyond that. Those triggered abilities might be discover a spell or draw a card or something like that. Right. And the stat buffs will be something like get +2/+2 or something like that. So the best minions with these abilities are going to be the ones that have big butts, so they can take damage a lot. So, for example, there's a warrior card called Warsong Envoy. It's a 1-mana 1/3. So again, a big butt for a 1-mana card, and it gets plus attack for each damaged character when it triggers its frenzy. So, for example, if you take Warsong Envoy and you attack into a 2/2, it now has. It's now a 1-mana 1/1 that gets +1 attack for each damaged character. If there's a 2/2 and a 1/1, and a 1/3, it'll be a 3/1 at the end of that attack. So it's already a strong card just because a 1-mana 1/3 is typically good. We saw the win rates be very high for those cards in this last meta, and it gets bigger after it trades. So I think it's a good mechanic there. I think it's going to allow you to make trades that you wouldn't normally trade. Really, when it has the attack or stat buff, it's going to feel a lot like Enrage. It's going to feel a lot like a Bone Chewer Brawler or Amani Berserker. Mm-hmm. And the other way they're going to use this is on minions that have Rush. I'm sorry, the triggered abilities. I'm jumping ahead. Okay. So that would be a card like Druid of the Plains. That's the 7 mana 7/6 that when it triggers its Frenzy, it turns into a different minion. So that kind of that Druid shapeshiftery thing. It turns into a 6/7 taunt. So that doesn't, I mean, it's not directly changing its stats. It's transforming into a completely different thing. There's also the Peon. What does the Peon do? I forget.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring it up. I got it here. Real easy. That's not hard to do.
It's a neutral 2 mana 2/3, and when it triggers its Frenzy, it does.
It adds a random spell from your class to your hand. What's really cool about the Warrior one is that like it could work like a little bit like a Frothing Berserker, because if you did like a 1 damage AoE, it would like could damage the whole board, then hit face. So it could potentially do like big bursts too, which is kind of fun. So yeah, it's the other one they introduced, the crazy one, was that hand buff one. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy ones they can honestly do. I'm really scared with Frenzy, and for arena perspective, I'm really hoping that I don't think I'm gonna get my wish, but I'm really hoping the AUG merchants are not in arena, because holy crap, dude! I'm telling you, this is what I thought about. Like, if AUG merchants are in arena for this rotation, these Frenzy cards are actually going to be broken, because a lot of them have Rush, or like, like, I don't know, it could be pretty bad. So, because you can trigger, what it means is that you can trigger them on your own turn, with your, that could, and some of these cards, being triggered on your own turn could actually be really crazy. So, it's a fun mechanic, because it also, obviously, it triggers on your opponent's turn. So if they trade into a minion, it doesn't kill it. It triggers immediately whatever that does. But there's ways to like abuse it. Like, I don't know, like, well, I can't imagine why any person would ever tempo the Druid of the Plains, but like if they did, you could ping it and get rid of the Rush card immediately. So, it's kind of an interesting back and forth mechanic to some degree, because it might make trades awkward and stuff. So I think it's fine. I think it's an okay mechanic.
It doesn't seem too different than any cards they could normally print. They could have just printed these cards with the words of the ability on it instead of making it a keyword, and it would have felt like a normal Hearthstone thing. So I don't think we're going to see a big difference from normal sets with Frenzy, but it's nice to have something fun to play with and make Elven Archer my favorite card again.
Yeah, I definitely think pings are going to be pretty good. And unfortunately, I guess the classes that I hope they're careful with, like the classes that, like, for instance, Mage. They got to be really careful with Frenzy cards with Mage, because they can do it themselves. In Arena, some of those could be really, some Frenzy cards. There's one that I know attacks a random enemy, so like you in a sense could ping it and give it Rush and kill something. It's like a 5 mana 5/6 Frenzy. So, but yeah, it's just, I don't think there's much more to say about Frenzy. You know what it does? It triggers on both sides of the board. It'll be okay. Some of them might be interesting. It's just something to play with. I wouldn't say it's like a mechanic that I'm like over the moon excited about. But I don't think it's the worst one they've ever done. So it's fine.
Topic 3, ranked cards. This is the last of the new mechanics that they've shown. And so ranked cards, they change what they do based on how much mana you have. So if you have before you have 5 mana, they'll do one thing. When you hit 5 mana to 9 mana, they'll do something else. And then when you hit 10 mana, they upgrade to their final stage.
Yes.
They always cost the same amount of mana, no matter what the level of the card is. And the only thing that changes is how much of the thing they do. So, for example, the Hunter ranked card is a 2 mana spell that's called Tame Beast, and it summons a 2/2 beast with Rush, and it says upgrades when you have 5 mana. So when you have 5 mana, it turns into Tame Beast rank 2, and then it summons a 4/4 beast with Rush and it costs 2 mana. And then it turns when it says upgrades when you have 10 mana. So when you have 10 mana, it turns into Tame Beast rank 3, and it summons a 6/6 beast with Rush. So it's pretty simple. It's not a complicated mechanic. I would say there's only one thing that you really need to know about these, and that would be hold them as long as you can, because they get a lot better the bigger they get.
It's gonna make some of these cards are gonna make top deck wars really sad because they're gonna. Yeah, imagine playing like, it's turn 10 and someone plays the 2-mana 6/6 and a Proto Drake or something. Like, oh my god,
Yes, that's when it's going to be really good. It's when you can. The strength of these cards is that you can cast them alongside something else later in the game. Where in the early game you really don't want a 2-mana 2/2 rush. That's just not very good. In the late game, that 6/6 is insane, and it's going to be played alongside like you said, Proto Drake or 6-mana spell plus a hero power or something like that, and that's going to get really dangerous really fast.
One thing I've noticed, and I don't know if it'll hold true throughout all of them, but so far all of the ranked spells, and there's I think 4 or 5 of them out, they're all 2 mana. So it seems like they are kind of sticking to the ability for it to be a tempo strength late game. So which is fine. I mean, it's good if they're all consistent, but they're all pretty good. We'll talk about all those during the card review, but except for the Druid one, which makes me want to cry. But otherwise, they're all fine.
The Mage one is 0, and I think the Priest one's 0 too.
No, the Priest one's
no.
the Priest one's 2.
The Priest one's 2. Sorry, yeah.
Is there one that's 0?
0. Yeah, the Mage one.
What is that?
Flurry.
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's good to know. It almost seemed like it was going to be it almost seemed like that was going to somehow be a consistent thing, but that's good that you got that out.
I think that one just came out today, so it's going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much that's all the cards that we wanted to talk about so far. I'm not sure where the meta is going to go with this. Unfortunately, we don't have a rotation to talk about, which I was really hoping that the rotation would be announced. It would probably be announced Tuesday, unfortunately. But we may.
Yeah, overall, this set seems like it's going to be not a very defining set. It seems like it's going to be a lot of normal cards that are going to be kind of feel like the backbone of the next coming year. So nothing seems like it's going to really break down the arena format and make it all about dragon synergies or all about Kobold lackeys or whatever's. It's all going to be, they're just normal cards.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of happy that it's not like that. I mean, after the pinnacle of that to me was Descent of Dragons, and from there on, that's when I quit Hearthstone for 3 months. So like I was just like, man, if this is the way it's going, I just can't see the game like being healthy. But this seems like a good first step. They adjusted the core set. They I feel like they've given themselves an ability to reset every year, and if they, it doesn't mean they're not going to have bad years in the next couple or something, but they basically can literally reset every single year now. So even if something goes awry, plus a lot of the cards they can easily from the core set, if they're good enough, they can nerf those, and they don't have to give people dust and stuff. So it's Hearthstone's in a not bad place. I am cautiously optimistic about this set and everything going forward, I think. So
me too. Yeah,
all
seems
right.
Good.
Well, that's going to do it for the 8th episode. We've been doing it for 2 months, so that's pretty cool.
Wow, good job.
I know, go us. You can join us live 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific every week on Twitch, or you can download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts every Monday. You can also find me on Twitch, where I stream Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern, or you can find me on YouTube or Twitter by searching Keludar, Keludar. Make sure you tune in. Well, it's not going to be next week. It's going to be Tuesday, probably. From what I understand, it's probably going to have all the cards released by Tuesday. As soon as all the cards drop, we will be doing a card review. I'll be announcing that on Twitter and probably on Reddit and stuff. So just kind of watch out for that on my social media. But we'll definitely do a full card review of all the Forged and the Barrens cards, and then we will be ready to go. So I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So,
I'm also
pumped.
Oh, go ahead. You're pumped.
I'm really excited. We haven't done a card review since Witchwood, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I don't even know how we're gonna do it. I'm pretty excited. Well, it's gonna be fun because we'll be able to josh each other the whole expansion about who was right and who was wrong. It'll be fun. I'm sure there'll be a couple we disagree on. So, also want to make a thank you to John Laux for the music in the episode. Make sure to check out the links. You can find the links to our contributors. And thank you all for joining us again. This is the Kelcast. We'll see you soon.
Okay, Kaladar, I need to get something for my chest, dude.
Okay.
I am going to be so frustrated when I cast a fell spell and it's supposed to be a fire spell. And I'm trying to trigger my stupid fire thing, and I cast a fell spell, and it's not that. What is fell? What is that? Is it fire? Is it shadow? I don't know, but it's going to be one of them, and I'm going to get it wrong. I guarantee it. I'm going to do it.
Oh, you think you're gonna like mess up like the
Of
mechanic?
course, it's green flames. What am I going to think that is? A fire spell. Or maybe I'm like, oh, it's green. That means it's whatever. I don't know, man. I'm
And
not
how?
looking
I mean,
forward to
and how
that.
the fuck do they make green lightning a spell school, but not lightning? I mean, what the
Yeah.
hell?
How do they make their decisions here? At least holy is defined. But then what are they going to do? They're going to have holy as buffs and healing? Okay, cool. But then what about holy smite? Is that still going to be a holy spell? Because that's damage. I don't know. I'm not sure about this part. It's going
Actually,
to
the
be
more I
very
think about it,
confusing.
I think they should have made fell lightning, because like lightning is one of they have fire and frost, and lightning's like kind of considered one of the like elements of Earth. You know what I mean? Or
But,
like of magic.
but yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be. I'm going to get confused and I'm going to mess it up. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Good.
I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Peace.
See ya. Bye. All right, guys. That's it. We did it.